Hey dude, do you want to come over tonight and play some board games? I've got this brand new 2-player board game that I know you'll love. You get to travel across the Andes Mountains, trading colored dyes to make our very own fabrics. What do you think? Great, see you at 7. What happens if you take the traditional hex-tile resource exchanging board game Settlers of Catan and mash it together with the pick up and deliver elements in the game Whistle Stop, as well as incorporate the 2-player 3D abstract elements of the game Santorini, where you get this very, very hexy baby called Pachacuna. Why is there a pair on my board game? Oh, it's so we don't forget that the game is for 2 players only. Oh, can you say it again? I was too busy eating this juicy pear. Pachacuna, the llama game, is a 2-player maze building game where players are leading their llamas across the Andes Mountains to different villages in order to trade different colored dyes. The player who collects 7 different colored dyes first will win the game. Wait a minute, I was told that this video would strictly not feature llamas.
You said no dramas, not llamas. See here, it's written in the fine print.
Pachacuna is a very special game. It comes with 54 of these well-crafted individual 3-dimensional hexagon-shaped tiles that when combined together like some sort of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Megazord, that when they fit together will create this even larger freckly hexagon. Each hex tile represents a part of the Andes Mountains, with these black sections representing the high mountain ranges, and the green sections representing the low valleys. When combined together, they create a movable map of pathways that will allow these cute wooden llamas to move from village to village around the board. Across a game of Pachacuna, one player is literally taking the high road by only traversing the mountains, and the other player is creating paths by taking the low road through the valleys. Players do this by rotating these 3-dimensional hex tiles with the aim of creating a long, uninterrupted path from one village to the next. Like some sort of traditional village-style Uber service, each llama will be attempting to deliver different colored resources to different colored villages. Each village has a special demand banner that communicates what they need. Selling a resource that matches the color on the lower part of the banner nets a player 1 resource of that color into their player's supply, whereas fulfilling the top part of the banner yields that player 2 of that resource. Through efficient route building and effective trading, the player who collects 7 different colored resource dyes first wins the game.
Excuse me, do you know the quickest way to get to the board game shop?
Well, if you take the high road, you'll go across the mountains and come across this very delicious rocky road. Rocky road. Yum. If you've ever played the board games Whistle Stop or Ticket to Ride, you'll be familiar with the idea that building and claiming an efficient route is really crucial for your success in those games. Pachacuna takes the idea of network building, route building, and maze building and shapes it around these very unique 3D hexagons. Being able to observe the map for potential links and pathways is part of the puzzling nature that this 2-player game evokes. There is an immense satisfaction when you find a way to transport your llama from one side of the board to the next, especially one that your opponent hasn't seen. It's like finding the key to a combination lock, or that sense of satisfaction when you find where the missing puzzle piece should go. The rotation of the hex tiles constantly causes the board to change and evolve. Each rotation sets your llamas up for the next powerful move. The position of the 7 different villages around the board creates an interesting navigational challenge as you try to aim for specific locations.
Oh hey man, I just found this key. I wonder what it unlocks. That's the key to my house so I can finally lock you out.
Whether you are a person who likes to take the high road or the low road, there are some incredibly tough decisions when you play a game of Pachacuna. For example, on your turn, when you rotate a hex tile, you've got to really think about the impact of rotating it on the topography and geography of the game map itself and your position in the game. I mean, do you rotate the tile so that it extends the path that you're taking so you can get to that next banner first, or do you use it to slow down your opponent? Paying 2 extra resources can give you that extra action and flexibility in paving the correct pathway and the fastest and most efficient pathway
to that resource destination that you're trying to get to? Or do you use it to interrupt and hinder your opponent's plans? This racing element and configuring element in the game just makes this game feel so cool. Dude, can you see the next clue? Quick, let's open this. Who is ready for a six-sided challenge? I guess that's you, my friend. Pachacuna has a nice flow to it, where at the start of the game, you feel like your options are quite limited, seeing you only have one llama at your disposal. However, once you've collected your first few resources, you want to start cashing them in by paying 4 of any resources to acquire another llama.
Having an extra llama friend means that you can start traversing the board in a more strategic way, potentially unlocking more paths to different villages. You'll at most have 3 llamas positioned around the map, all attempting to deliver their good to the right villages. As your herd of llamas increases, you'll find yourself increasingly mobile, as you'll be able to move each llama that you own every single turn.
Each time a player trades a coloured resource at a village, that banner in that village is removed from the board and replaced with one from this fabric bag. These constantly change the goals and the resource requirements of the 7 villages throughout the game, and this could either open up some potential opportunities for a quicker way to trade in a current resource that a llama is carrying that you own, or it could completely shift your game in a different direction altogether.
Regardless, the banners help to create an interesting problem to solve and choices to make, whether this might be planning a long route to a banner that provides double the resource, or heading to a close or more safer option that nets you one resource only. The game can sometimes set up a head-to-head race for certain demand colours, especially if 2 llamas have the same colour resource that they're competing for. These game moments do make this game a highly interactive challenge.
Hey bro, what's in the jacket? Do you want to trade?
I guess I could trade you 2 yellow dye for 1 blue. Sounds like a good deal.
Excellent.
What I adore about Pachacuna is that I always really enjoy when a game comes along where the path to victory isn't a matter of counting up victory points at the end of the game. Pachacuna is a really cool game that really forces players to fulfill a victory condition, and that is collecting 7 different coloured resources and placing it in front of them to trigger the end of the game. Having this victory condition embedded within the game itself really sets the pace of the game and really makes the game feel like a very tight race that's nail-biting. It makes future and long-term planning really crucial and a key element in your success in the game, which I absolutely admire.
Pachacuna is a relatively abstract game. The abstract shapes and map pieces can provide gamers with the potential for a little bit of analysis paralysis. And in simple layman terms, that means a lot of choices. Searching for the best maze route and linking tiles together to create a geographical combo is really quite cool. It is like a machine where each tile is a rotating cog in a clockwork of actions on a map, which can look somewhat visually overwhelming on your very first play.
So, what does Google say about how we get to our next destination?
I absolutely love maze board games, and I wish there was so many more out there because I just love the simplicity of it, but also the abstract and puzzly nature that maze games have to offer. There's something incredibly nostalgic and compelling about completing a maze, and I used to own a whole heap of exercise books where I used to draw mazes in as a kid and used to create my own and share them with my friends and try to get them to try and complete them. Pachacuna really takes that maze creation element and takes it to another level, where the maze is constantly changing and the labyrinth of different paths and ways through the mountains really impacts your success and your opponent's success in the game, which I really well and truly admire. Wow, this game's amazing!
Pachacuna evokes memories of a board game that I had when I was younger called Labyrinth, where the maze was more of an array. It was just so fun when the labyrinth moved and I created a cool pathway to a treasure I was trying to collect. The dual nature of the hex tiles in Pachacuna really makes the maze feel a lot more challenging and dynamic.
I can't carry you and the board game. Pachacuna is a gorgeously crafted 2-player board game that fits perfectly into any family board game collection, and I can't express enough how much I love and appreciate game designers who make 2-player board games, because that's a huge niche market that definitely needs to be fulfilled, especially with COVID and people not being able to gather together in large groups. And I have a subcategory in my board game collection just strictly for 2 players, which I always get out to play with my significant other. So when I hear another 2-player board game coming out, I definitely want to check it out. Also, it has a very simple rule set and it's very easy to pick up and learn how to play, but the strategy and decision making that appears in the game is quite deep. Also, it takes some very familiar board game mechanics and elevates them to another level. It has this transformative maze concept idea in this game, and that allows the game to feel fresh each time you play, because the maze you're going to be building is going to be different each time, and the banners that are going to appear are going to be different from game to game. If you really like Llamas, please consider clicking on the link below and heading over to my Patreon page and supporting me on Patreon. I would totally and well and truly appreciate your support. If you really like Llamas in general, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you like Llamas and think they're adorably cute, then maybe hit the like button. Thank you once again for joining me for another Board Game Century video. This is Danny signing out, and game on!